behalf of the Hall of Fame Committee, my name is Jim Pignataro. I'd like to welcome everybody to our induction ceremony here this evening. First, I want to thank the athletes from Shrewsbury High School for escorting the inductees in, so let's give them a round of applause. Everyone should have a program at their table, and just want to introduce the former inductees that are here this evening. If they could please stand when your name is called. Lee Garantopoulos, Martha O'Done, Nick DiPilato, Brian Anderson, Bob Munsner, Tony Francis, Karen Keenan, Ken Largis, Billy Orphley, Chris Lynch, and last but not least, Mo Biseglia. Also representing Shrewsbury High School, the administration, P.J. O'Connell, the assistant principal, is here this evening. Appreciate him being here. Tonight we'll call you up. We'll have you say a few words, the inductees, and then you'll receive your plaque here this evening from Jay Costa. And with that, I'm going to introduce the athletic director of Shrewsbury High School, Jay Costa.
Good evening, and welcome to tonight's Shrewsbury High School Athletic Hall of Fame. Thank you to our SHS Hall of Fame Committee and Boosters Association for making this night happen. I'd like to thank on behalf of Shrewsbury High School and the athletic department and extend a special congratulations to our class of 2017 inductees. It's a pleasure to be here tonight to honor some of Shrewsbury High School's greatest athletes and coaches. On behalf of the past athletic directors, we would like to thank you for the memories and dedication you have given Shrewsbury High School athletics during your playing careers and coaching careers. As athletic director, I'm truly honored to be able to stand here this evening. I've had the opportunity to honor friends, former coaches, and players being enshrined amongst the best athletes of Shrewsbury High School. Today, high school athletics is a little bit different than before. The emphasis on athletic success and urgency to win at all costs or succeed in order to obtain a college scholarship has made it difficult for athletes to play multiple sports. Budgets have been reduced and athletics continues to suffer as a result of budget cuts, with the difference being covered by athletic fees and major fundraising. Currently, our SHS athletes and their families pay $300 a sport. With all the challenges I have mentioned, athletes today are proud to wear their school colors and continue to provide the fond memories and experiences of representing the community and the school that you were fortunate enough to experience at the high school level. At the high school, we preach to the student athletes to give back to the community, support and reflect on the great traditions of Shrewsbury High School. To our coach inductees, Coach Nero, Coach Wallace, I want to personally thank you for giving me an opportunity 20 years ago as a fresh athlete out of college to return back to SHS as a coach in both football and baseball. The mentoring you provide, along with the many others in this room, has helped me personally get here to where I am today. So thank you for all that you have done for both me and the athletes that have coached at SHS. To all the inductees, I encourage you to stay involved with Shrewsbury High School athletics through your role as a member of the Shrewsbury athletic community. Take the time to share the experiences you had or by adopting some of our athletes or teams. Don't be a stranger to the SHS athletic department. Come to games or serve in some capacity that you can, whether it's supporting the program financially, coaching, or serving as a mentor to our athletes. Anything you could do would make what I think is the best athletic program in Central Mass even better. I'm excited to announce a privately funded campaign for our phased turf field stadium project. We have raised, as of yesterday, approximately $1 million towards our $1.8 million needed to start phase 1. We have until January 31st to get this done for this year. So this new field and other phases to our project will enable us to provide our athletes today and the future a state-of-the-art athletic facility. So we need your support and help in any capacity you can to provide, whether it's through financial, recruitment of donor assistance, or just being part of our committees. In closing, I would like to once again congratulate our inductees and thank you as you continue to serve as role models and heroes to SHS athletes today. Often students come to the office and discuss with me their desire someday to get their names on the wall outside my office next to yours. I hope you enjoy the evening, and as all of you deserve this night to be honored for your accomplishments as a member of the Shrewsbury High School Athletics. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. At the end of the evening, we'll have all the inductees go out into the lobby for a group picture. So at the end of the ceremony, people just wait around. We just want to have all the inductees out there. Our first inductee this evening is Dave Nero. Dave coached at Shrewsbury High School from 1991 to 2001, 100 career wins at Shrewsbury High School. In 2001, Midland Wachusett League champions, Central Mass champions 2001, and also the MIAA State Division I finalists. Congratulations, Dave.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jimmy. This has to be a real first. And one of my former players, when we were playing, we used to play Milford High School, and he hated them. And I'm from Milford. Oh, couldn't hear me? I got to get him. I have to get him. One of my former players, when we used to play Milford High School, really hated Milford High. And he knew I was from Milford. But Leo, in the Hall of Fame in Shrewsbury here. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for selecting me. It's an honor to be going in with all the great people that went in before me and all the great people that will be going in after me. I would like to extend a heartfelt congratulations to all the other inductees that are going into the Hall of Fame tonight. I would like to introduce some of the people who helped get me to the Hall of Fame. First, I know he's not here tonight, Gordon Warren gave me my first head coaching job, and I really appreciate that. I met a lot of friends out here, but one in particular who's still following Shrewsbury High School athletics all around, and he helped me tremendously. Anything I wanted, he got for me. And that's Donnie Green. Still owe me the $25 for saying it, Donald. To be successful, you have to surround yourself with successful people. I've been fortunate enough to have done this. When I was here, I not only had successful players, I also had successful assistant coaches. Two outstanding young men who I am very, very proud of, who were my assistant coaches when I was here, P.J. O'Connell and Jay Costa. Thank you, guys. I would also like to thank the many friends that I made. Oh, I already said that. Donald, I almost said it again. You would owe me $50. Some days are better than others, but every day I spend with my family is a good one. Some are here tonight, and I would like to introduce them to you. My mother and father, 95 and 93, sitting right down there. My two sons, Jeff and Tim, my granddaughter Hannah, my grandson Taylor, and my brother Danny and his wife Sue. You know, raising a family and the lifestyle of a coach can be very difficult. I know during the baseball season, I usually had blinders on to anything but the game. I took for granted that family matters would take care of themselves. Oftentimes I was there physically, but mentally my mind was always on the game. I realize now what a great job my wife did, not only in raising our children, but in taking care of me. My Hall of Famer, my wife Linda. The game of baseball has given me everything, but most of all, memories of a lifetime. There is nothing better than watching a player during the season grow, both physically and mentally. When they are able to grow and have success off and on the field, it's a great process to watch. Some of those memories, there's so many of them. I wrote down a couple of them. Some of my players are here tonight. They'll remember them with me. Beating St. John's at Dean Park under the lights in front of the whole town. Beating Algonquin at Tiverton Field for the CMAS Championship. Beating Fitchburg for the league championship. And on and on and on I can go. But along with memories come nightmares. And when it rains out, I have this nightmare every single time. When we were playing St. John's Prep in the state finals, we had the big lead, it rained. We came back and all the momentum switched to their side and we got beat. So every time it rains out, I have a nightmare. I've had some amazing people that I coach. It's great to see them in their life professions and being successful. To all my players, you all have become outstanding young men. And I am a better person for having coached you here at Shrewsbury High School. It's more than an honor tonight. It's a great honor for me going into the Hall of Fame with one of my former players, Brian O'Connor. And all of my other former players that are in the Hall of Fame tonight. Again, words can't describe how I feel to be elected and to be in a great fraternity. Thanks to the committee, my family, friends, former players, former coaches for sharing this evening with me. Shrewsbury High School will always have a special place in my heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. And in the program, we're not going to go in the order of the pictures in the program. Next up, we have Richard Quayley from the class in 1960. Richard is in poor health and is not able to be here tonight, but just a couple of things to bring you back to October 31st, 1958 at Foley Stadium in Worcester. Shrewsbury High School was playing North High School, and at the time they had the longest win streak in the state. There was no time left on the clock, and he caught a 65-yard touchdown pass, which tied North. And just to give you an idea of what was going on back then, North had beat Leominster High School back in 1958. He's one of these names that have come to the committee over the years, outstanding athlete. And again, he's in the rehabilitation center as we speak. But again, to accept the award on behalf of his family, we have former inductee Tony Francis.
Richard, being one of my best friends, wanted me to extend his feelings, how sorry he was looking forward to coming here. And he wanted to thank the committee for nominating him. And that's about it. Thank you again.
Thank you, Tony. Next, we have from the class of 1973, Nick Tadisco. Nick will go into the Hall of Fame as a contributor, working for Shrewsbury Media Connection from 1999 to the present, over 1,000 broadcasts of all sports at Shrewsbury High School. Congratulations, Nick.
You would think with the number of times that I've been in front of a camera or in front of an audience, this would be easy, but it's not. So thank you all. And I've got a couple of pages to read, so sit back and relax. If any of you have ever seen the opening of our Coach's Corner show, it opens with with some of our great SHS teams of the past, with the words tradition, attitude, character, enthusiasm. I was going to gear my address to you tonight to that regard, but just our being here tonight speaks to that in itself. Let me put my glasses on. Are they there, Nick? Otherwise, we'll be here all night. Thank you. With this being Thanksgiving weekend, it seems appropriate that it should be the theme for my being here at this podium at this time. Over the past 19 years, can you believe that, 19 years, I've seen some pretty outstanding athletes perform in a variety of sports for Shrewsbury High. And what a ride it's been. I've been producing broadcasts for SHS sporting events for close to 20 years, and it's been a personal passion of mine. I love doing these games. I love doing it for the kids. Just think, 20 years from now, our athletes will be able to pull out a video and show it to their children and maybe their grandchildren, how they played high school sports at Shrewsbury High. I love that idea. We do it always for the kids in our community, right, John? We do it for the kids. What this award means to me tonight validates not only that you have enjoyed the work that I have done with my crew, I must have done it at an exceptional level. I tried to think of the best way to thank as many people as possible without leaving somebody out, and I'm sure I will, but perhaps if I do it chronologically, maybe I can get through it this way. Before I go back to the beginning, let me start thanking the Shrewsbury High Hall of Fame committee for voting me into the Hall, and thank you, Jay Costa, our current AD, for his support going all the way back to when my kids were in high school. He is an outstanding athletic director and a great friend. So let me start to thank former Shrewsbury AD Gordon Warren for allowing the football team and their parents to form a gridiron club. Former Shrewsbury head coach Terry Wallace for having the inspiration to form that gridiron club, which was a version of today's Booster Club, but focused only on football. Terry and his teams went on to participate in several Super Bowls, winning in 2004 and 2007. I'd also like to thank the following coaches who have allowed us to be a part of their program over the years. Current SHS football coach John Eloisi. Congratulations on a fine season and winning the Mid-Watch Championship. Boys basketball, Jim Diamantopoulos and Adrian Machado. Girls basketball, Sean Jeffries and Erin Largis. Boys hockey, Phil Irvin, John Binkowski, Steve Turnblum. Girls hockey, Frank Panarelli. Boys coach, baseball coaches, Dave Nero and Lee Diamantopoulos. Softball coaches, Matt Palumbo, George Morris, Phil Chevalier. Track coaches, Nick DiPilato, Ian Butterfield. Lacrosse coach, Nate Skirmont. Cheerleader coach, Maria Smith and Marlena Cosenza. Coaches from crew teams, golf teams, field hockey teams, soccer teams, and we once had the debate team on Coach's Corner, and our guys lost a debate on as to whether debate could actually be a sport. Imagine how that went. Thank you to all these coaches. It's been an honor. I'd like to also thank the hundreds of athletes whose name we have butchered over the years. Actually, it was Mastro. More than anybody. It took him years to pronounce Sean Louiso's name. Loizo. Sean went on to play with the Indianapolis Colts. This year it was Nate Hautala. Right? From the SHS graduating class of 2000 to this year's graduating class of 2018, I thank you all for allowing me and the broadcast crew to bring your performances into the homes of thousands of residents in Shrewsbury and around the world to those who want to stream our broadcast on the internet. Mark Serra, who's standing right in front of me behind the camera, General Manager of Shrewsbury Media Connection. Without Mark, there would be no TV 328 sports team. Mark, thank you for teaching me to be a television producer and for bearing with all the nonsense of the TV 33, 28, and 328 sports teams for 2 decades. And thank you to your wife, Sue, whom I woke up on many occasions trying to reach you before and after hours. Laurie Bergman, our public access coordinator at SMC. She's been one of our biggest supporters over the years. Thanks also from SMC, thanks to Kevin Looney, Paul Gustafson, Liz Poplowski for all your support. And yes, Billy, thanks to Bill Ney at SMC as well. The sports team, I need to recognize those guys, TV 328, 33, 28 members that have been with us since day one. It began with the original voice of the Shrewsbury Colonials, Billy Demaglia, president of the Gridiron Club. We started with the broadcast crew back in 1999. The rest is history. How many can remember from December 2000? 21 to 20, 16 seconds left. All the powers lined up on the left side. It's the Pista Johnson. He's in! Billy was the initiator of the word "but up." Dennis Mastro, loved by referees across central Massachusetts. The first time Billy Demaglia and I got called into the principal's office, since he graduated from St. John's and I from Shrewsbury High in 1973, was on behalf of Dennis to go see Mr. Gudikans. It was because of some pleasant remarks Dennis made during a football game. We called it Wachusett High. Of course, it didn't help that Demaglia saying, "Turn out the lights, the party's over," 3 minutes into the game. I think Mario or Awfully scampered for a TD. Not good. Gary Anderson did some camera work for Coach's Corner back in the beginning. Ted Hurley. I met Ted when we were coaching our daughter's town soccer team. Since, he has worked with us in the broadcast booth and does a great job calling hockey games. Bobby Bigda, PA announcer at all home games. Bob's son Ryan graduated with my son Nick, and his daughter Lindsay graduated with my daughter Alicia. A great job doing color and play-by-play when Johnny can't. We like to tease Bobby about his hair because it's really hair out of place. Bob is the author of my dictionary, which, is, in my haste to try and get the words out edgewise on these guys, occasionally I create a new word or phrase such as the 55-yard line or a place kisser. Once I got down on all 4 knees. A fullbacker, the Canucky Derby. You've heard them all before. Ask Bob, he knows them all. Bob's a great friend. And a great golfer. And thank you, Karen, for letting Bob do what he does. Billy O has been with us since day one. He's instrumental in starting the Gridiron Club. And although he was hesitant to get in front of the camera for the first few years, he is now a very colorful color analyst. My daughter Angela graduated with Bill's daughter Alicia, and my son graduated with his son Billy. Big Bill occasionally gets us into trouble with some of his comments, which are never intent to harm anyone. His heart is always in the right place, and his integrity should never be questioned by anyone. He says what's on his mind, and we grab a lot of laughs from that mind. He's a true friend in every aspect, and it would not be the same without him. And thank you, Mary, for letting Billy come out to play with us. Johnny Mastro, the voice of the Colonials. Wow. He's carrying the whole team. Touchdown, Colonials. Dean from 40. John has had the opportunity to broadcast and call more plays in the history of Shrewsbury High School, and he does it effortlessly. If you think it's easy to do what he does, try it. He finally got a pair of new glasses, so now we can see the numbers on the uniform a little better. Can you see me? Well, we all hope. John's like an older brother to me. Notice I said older. Oh, and thank you, Judy, for all the times you let Johnny out, too, but we really know you're doing us a favor. So, finally, I'd like to thank my own family, my mother and father. My dad's in California, and my brother Tim is in California. My sister Laura, a graduate of 1982, is sitting over at the table with me tonight to support me, as she always does. I love you, Laura. My children, Angela, class of 2000, co-captain of the girls' softball team back then. I had the opportunity to broadcast one of her games with Billy Demaglia. It was awesome. Thank you, Ian, for being here. My son, Nicholas, class of 2000, played football and baseball at SHS. In Nick's words, I watched his last 3 football years through the lens of a camera. Let me tell you, he and his teammates did not disappoint us very often. Alicia, my daughter Alicia is in California, couldn't be here tonight. I enjoyed watching her play field hockey for the Colonials. And I still don't understand 95% of those rules in that sport. And finally, and I have nothing to read, my wife Susan. This one's coming from the heart, Sue. Thank you for letting me go out and broadcast all these games for the last 19 years. All the Friday nights that I go out the door and leave her there all alone, because she doesn't come and hang out with these guys. That'd be the last thing she'd want to do. Thank you, Sue. Shrewsbury High has a lot to thank you for as well. You're in my Hall of Fame, just like Coach Nero said. Thank you. And thank you all for my time.
Thank you, Nick. Our next inductee from the class of 1993, Andrea Figueres Machad. Andrea played soccer, indoor and outdoor track, Midwalk League All-Star in soccer, and Midwalk All-Star in indoor and outdoor track as well, T&G All-Star. Congratulations.
Thanks. Wow, there's a lot of you guys here, so thanks for coming. I'm going to do my best to give a speech from the heart. Jay had mentioned the other day I needed to say something, so I was thinking about it. And sports have always been a big part of my life. Growing up, I had big shoes to fill. I don't know, probably you all know my sister Karen, who's also in the Hall of Fame. But I was always, oh, you're the little sister. You must just be like her. You look just like her. You act like her. You must be as good as her. Well, it was hard. But she did show me a lot of ways to be good and great at what we did. A lot of hard work and dedication and really keeping at it. But my sister Allison was also tennis and basketball, and she showed you how it was to have patience. And you might not always get in the game, but you really worked hard at it. My brother Matt was always racing me. You know, we'd get in the parking lot, and it was ready, set, go. We'd race to the car. And when he was younger, he was, I always gave him a head start. And then as he got taller and faster, I was the one with the head start. But if it weren't for him and I always racing, then I don't know what I would do. But to think about sports in my life and always having sports every day, in and out, loving to play, loving to watch, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my coaches and always making me work harder. You know, whether it was Dee telling me, get back to those blocks, get back in, tears streaming down my face, getting my hands all wet in those starting blocks and making me go over and over, you can do better, you can be faster, you can do it. I did. And I continued to cry every time, too. And then being on the soccer field, you know, always the coaches would say, you're going to mark the best player. Wherever they go, you go. And to have somebody and the team rely on me and really think that I could do it made you work harder, and, you know, you didn't want to let anybody down. But most of all, I have to thank my parents. And you always knew when they were there. They never missed a game. They never missed a meet. You could smell my dad's cigars from anywhere on the field. You knew he was there. And then my mom, you know, you could always hear her yelling, cheering, come on, Andrea, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And then it would get louder and louder as you got to the end. And you knew she was really cheering for you. And she always said, nobody will beat you. Remember, you're the fastest out there, and you can do it. And here we are today. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for nominating me. Thanks for believing in me, and congratulations, everyone.
Our next inductee from the class of 1968, Billy Mattress. Billy considered one of the best running backs in Shrewsbury High School history, averaged 100 yards per game. Congratulations, Billy.
Nice to see a lot of faces out here. There's some people here I haven't seen in decades. I was driving up here from South Carolina. I've been down there for 24 years. And it dawned on me that it's been 50 years since I've worn the blue and gold. So this is a very special occasion for me. But most importantly, I just want to share with you, for the past 50 years, I have been proud as punch to say that I played for the Shrewsbury Colonials. I had the opportunity in my first year to meet 3 coaches, and when I looked in your inductee list, they all happened to be there. In my freshman year, Art Lilligren was in his freshman year. After going through practice, he allowed me to start in the first freshman game, and after playing, he said, how about playing JV tomorrow? At which time I had the pleasure of meeting Bill Paquette. And after playing in the JV game, Bill said, how about you dress for the varsity? And I was beginning to think that football was a 7-day sport. Well, the truth of the matter is that Art Lilligren, I want to pay him special attention, truly, because he was my first full-time coach, being a freshman, and he instilled in me an enthusiasm for the game, an energy for the game. If you all know him, you know what I'm talking about, that I've carried with me for the rest of my life. Bill Paquette was the disciplinarian that taught me every little technique that he could share with me. It paid off on the field, but it showed me the attention to detail. But when I got to the varsity team, I had the pleasure of meeting Mario Marchisio. And quite frankly, 4 years later, I didn't think he liked me too much. I didn't like me because of situations where he would say in practice to the defense, we're going to run this play. And then we would run it. And the entire defense knew it was coming, and you wouldn't get any yards. And he'd say, run it again, and again, and again, and again. And crazy as it might sound, one time, you might get a half a yard. And I remember that coach, I'll leave it at that, jumping in the pile, grabbing my face mask, twisting my head around and going, if you can get a half a yard when they know they're coming, what can you get when they don't? Does it teach you something? Yeah. How to overcome obstacles even when they're all in front of you. The lessons I learned in my 4 years in Shrewsbury went beyond the schooling. The opportunity to play ball for Shrewsbury, I truly have carried with me proudly for the past 50 years. I had the pleasure of playing with a lot of players that I see in the program. I had the support of my entire teams for 4 years. It was a team effort. We did everything together. We worked hard together. We sweat together. And I cannot tell you how proud I was to be a part of that group. It is humbling to think that I'm standing here now as one of the inductees, because I look at all the other players I played with and I wish they were all here, because they were all a piece of the puzzle. I thank you all. Before I leave, I want to acknowledge one person. I heard speakers saying earlier about supporting the school, supporting the team, supporting just about anything and everything, huh? Well, I haven't had that opportunity living so far away. But I want to acknowledge one person who's with me today. And I think a lot of you know him. And I think it's appropriate for me to mention him, because I know nobody that has been more dedicated to Shrewsbury, Shrewsbury sports, Shrewsbury activities, Shrewsbury functions, and I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge him, my brother-in-law, Ed Piscaro. Well deserved. Thank you for joining me in that, and I thank you all. Great to be at Colonial.
Thank you, Bill. Our next inductee, the former head football coach of Shrewsbury High School from 1998 to 2013, Terry Wallace.
Good evening. I first want to start out by thanking the Hall of Fame committee for nominating me and inducting me into the Shrewsbury Hall of Fame. It's a very prestigious award. I'm very proud to be part of this great fraternity of people. I'm very disorganized with my speeches, which is unusual for me, but we'll do fine. So I wanted to start real quickly about how it all began here for Shrewsbury here. And I really want to thank my father, Jim Wallace, who was a big supporter of my coaching career here at Shrewsbury, and he passed in 2004, and he's really the reason that I actually went for the job. I was walking at Worcester State track, which is near my house and near his house, and I was at the time the offensive coordinator at Auburn High School. And the head coach there was Tom Lauder. People know Tom Lauder. He's a salt-of-the-earth type of guy, and he was at the end of his career. So basically, the Shrewsbury job opened up, and I, thought about it. And if I had stayed at Auburn, Tom ended up retiring after one more year of coaching. It could have ended up. And my father looks at me and says, "Are you crazy? Why would you want to be in a program that you're already at? Why don't you want to go to another program and build that?" And that's really where it came to be. I remember Brian O'Connor. He was actually on the committee, and I remember the question they asked me. They had just gone to the Super Bowl the year before and had one of the best years in Shrewsbury history. And one of the questions was, what would you do if you became the head football coaching job? And I said I'd blow it up. And they all looked at me like, what do you mean? I said, well, I'm not interested in a football team. I'm interested in a football program. And so the rest, they say, is history. And the first person I want to acknowledge this evening is John Eloisi, who is now the head football coach of Shrewsbury High School. And when I left in 2013, we left it on a high note as John has continued to really set the standard really high at Shrewsbury High School. So I'd like to recognize John Eloisi for a great job so far. There's usually an over and under when I speak, so I'm going to try to make this short. Jay never coached me on this, like gave me a time limit, so I'm going to really do the best of my ability to keep it short tonight. I know there's a couple pools out there, so I'll try to. First thing that I thought about when I became the head football coach of Shrewsbury High School was a hierarchy, and I see a lot of my former players, and it's wonderful to see them, and a lot of them are already inducted to the Hall of Fame, is I had a hierarchy. From day one, it's family, school, football. It's one thing to have a hierarchy, but it's also one thing to live it. My feeling was this: family should always be number one in your life, regardless of what you're doing. Your family has to be first. And there were times in my coaching career where I had players who had family obligations and actually missed games. And that was okay. Or missed practices, and that was okay. Second was school. When you play sports, you're a student athlete. You have to have school first. And I would make sure that teachers knew that if our players were not doing what they were supposed to do, I would know about it. And the funniest thing you'd ever see in a practice is one of my players would walk out to the field and said, "What happened today in fifth period math?" And he'd look at me like, "What?" I said, "Tomorrow you'll be in the front row and the teacher will give me an email saying that you weren't good in class, you were great in class." "Yes, sir." And the third thing was football, because you know what? Anyone who's ever played the game, there's so much sacrifice that if you don't have a third, you really shouldn't play. And I was very happy to live by those standards, and a lot of my former players would tell you that I did. And I think that was important. You always have to have some type of foundation to begin with. The other very fortunate thing that I had when I started at Shrewsbury in 1998 was a solid core of underclassmen. Some of them are right here: Chris Lynch and Billy Orfley, Nick Tadisco is here, Brian Anderson. They were the freshman class of 1998. And also with Lee Diamantopoulos, who's another member, he was a sophomore at the time. And I was fortunate to win my first football game, but I lost my next 8. Not so good. You know, I'm thinking, geez, this isn't so much fun being this head coach here. But we happened to win our last 2 the following season, and then the 3 seasons after that, we went 30-5. So that was pretty good. So you started with a good foundation, and one of the other things that I did was had mandatory study hall for the freshman football players. So I certainly didn't want any football players flunking off the team, and they were actually, that particular class, I think 21 out of 26 kids made the honor roll. So that was something to be really proud of. I think, before I start to thank everyone, things that really made me proud as a coach was being role models. I think life lessons when you're coaching is so important. Wins and losses are very important, and we had a lot of those. We had both some wins and some heartbreaking losses. But being a role model to kids, trying to teach them to do the right way. If you talk to a football player that played for me at Shrewsbury, they would tell you these things. I guarantee they would. You know, act like, you score a touchdown, toss the ball to the referee, act like you've been there before. If you're representing Shrewsbury High School, make sure that if you're outside of school, you're wearing a shirt and tie. Every Thursday before a game, they heard the same speech for 16 years. It was this: okay, make sure if it's a pasta party, be respectful at so-and-so's house. Make sure you don't do anything to embarrass yourself, the school, your family, or this football team. And you live by that. So I was very proud of the way our football players played the game, and I thought they did it the right way. The other thing that I was proud about was an expression called poise under pressure. We had this knack, if you call it, of getting the people their money's worth at football games. We happened to win 27 games in the last minute of a game, which when you think about that is really ridiculous, but it happened. And it was all due to the players. Poise under pressure. My pregame speech would always include, if we were playing a very formidable opponent, was, guys, make it close in the fourth quarter, we'll find a way. And we did many, many times, and the credit all goes to the coaches, assistant coaches, and players there for tremendous poise under pressure. Nick Tadisco mentioned it earlier. The Gridiron Club was something we formed in 1999 along with Coach's Corner, and that was something I was very proud of. It kind of promoted high school football at Shrewsbury High School, and Coach's Corner promoted the players as they would be interviewed and talked about their future as seniors as they go on. One quick story about Jay Costa I have to mention. Do you understand that I hired this man, and then when I ended, he was my boss? Seriously? Yes, that's true. And believe me, I told him really? So a quick Jay Costa story. And again, publicly, I want to tell you this. Jay Costa, and he deserves a round of applause, Oh, he's a great AD, but he was one heck of a football coach. Jay Costa, let me tell you, the public I need to say that to you. So my wife and my daughter Julia is here, and my wife can back up the story, so here's the story. My second or third year, maybe my third year, Jay's an assistant coach, okay? Now Jay, if you know Jay, Jay's pretty jacked up, excitable type of guy, you know? So he just started. So I don't think he even goes home. Stays right at school. It's like 4:30. He calls my house. My wife answers, and he says, hello. So my wife says, okay, I'll go get Terry. No, I don't want to talk to Terry. I want to talk to you. So my wife says, okay, hey, doing, Jay? How's everything? You know, my wife being very pleasant like she is. She says, I got to ask you something. I go, what's that? What's he do before games? My God, I can't wait. I mean, it's 2 hours or 3 hours before kickoff. I'm losing my mind. He goes, do you really want to know? Oh, yeah. Well, upstairs, he's with his 2 daughters dancing to the Backstreet Boys playing with Barbies. Remember my hierarchy. Family was first, okay? Not a lot of quality time with the family during the week. You got to do. I have daughters. It's Barbies and the Backstreet Boys. So, you know, it is what it is. But, true story. And, yeah, Hayes in the barn. We knew what we were doing. So, I'm really happy to be on it tonight. This really does mean a lot to me. I've always said publicly that I never scored a touchdown, I never threw a pass, I never threw a block or made a tackle. It was all the players. I was very fortunate to coach at a time where we had wonderful players who were not only great football players, but quality men and tremendous assistant coaches that really made this football team really go here. And I had wonderful support from the administration. I worked for 3 wonderful principals, 2 great athletic directors, Gordy and Jay. I know PJ's here and Kenny Lodges. They're always part of our program for support. Mo Basiglia, when we started the Gridiron Club, we had a program back then that had all the stats from the week before and player profiles and stuff like that. And Mo, I mean, he got the whole ads of all the program. Talk about, I know someone mentioned support of the athletics here at Shrewsbury. Mo Basiglia is about as good as you get, in my opinion. He's also a member of the Hall of Fame. So Mo, you think you deserve to be recognized right now. Great job, Mo. So in closing, see how fast I am? Or I'm right there, right? 12 minutes? I got 10? All right. My retirement thing, I just think I spoke for 58 minutes, so this is good. Crazy. Yeah. I think I mentioned everyone in the world. So I just want to take a brief moment just to thank my coaches who coached me. I was very fortunate to have 9 former players coach with me, which is really special. Lee Diamantopoulos is here, Billy Orfaley's here. Bob Cosenza over there in the white. Bob Erickson coached me. Matt Piccaro's here. Tremendous job coaching on my staff. Great people, and it's really kind of a neat perspective to have your former players coach with you because they kind of knew how it was, and we won a lot of football games that way. It was really a great thing. The people at SPAC, Mark Serra right in front of me, the guys back there. The only one in the room that can agree with me more is John Eloisi as far as John Mastro's knowledge of football. I would still think today the jet sweep is a very viable football play.
Mine is 697 yards.
I strongly disagree with that. And I guess Bob Cosenza said the best thing he ever did. He was asked one time on Coach's Corner, hey, you guys do you watch the film? Bob goes, yeah, I do. I just hit the mute button. No, that's not. They do a great job. But back there, the guys from SPAC, Lori Bergman, Bill Ney, did a fantastic job here. I also want to thank my family. My mom's here tonight. My mom's right there. Why don't you wave, Mom? A tremendous supporter through the years, along with my dad, who passed in 2004. I couldn't ask for 2 better parents and support here. My daughter Julia's here too. Julia, wave. Now, see, you understand, Julia, when she was growing up, most girls her age would go to the game and fool around. She would actually watch the game and talk to my wife about strategy. And I'll tell you a funny story that I'm just about to be over here. Laura, we're close? 12 and a half? Pretty close? Good. All right, so my last game. No one knows it's my last game except for my wife and my 2 daughters. No one knows. I wasn't going to do cheesy win-win for the Gipper. And I certainly wasn't going to mention to Jay Costa, because if I mentioned to Jay Costa, everyone would have known. Matter of fact, I was going to the banquet to announce I was resigning. On the way there, I called him because I knew that, I couldn't let him know. I love you, Jay, but, So anyways, last game, we're playing Wachusett. First time, we played Milford 15 times, we beat Milford 10 times. Sorry, Dave Nero. 10 out of 15, we beat Milford. Nice. Playing Wachusett, last game. My last game. The game before, we had won on the last play of the game against Marlboro. No time left, we scored a touchdown pass. So we play in Mattress, we're down 14-0 at halftime. Julia says to my wife, Heather, Mom, I need to go into the locker room and tell him he can't lose his last game, my gosh. My wife laughs and no, honey, you can't go in the locker room. He won't let you. Well, as script would tell you, Wachusett, we come flying back, go ahead 15-14. Wachusett scores with 36 seconds left, and we drive down 74 yards and score on the last play of the game once again. I remember that moment only because of a couple things. First of all, we got an unsportsmanlike conduct because my wife and my daughter are on the field celebrating on a 15-yard penalty. And I remember looking at, of all people, Matt Baccara was right next to me and Lee Diamantopoulos, and it was just a great moment. So that's how it ended. And again, it was a great career. I'm very happy. And I will tell you this, I'm a Worcester guy, but I've been in Shrewsbury 1/3 of my life, and I have a lot of blue and gold blood in me. Thank you so much for this wonderful evening. Congratulations to all the other inductees.
Thank you, Terry. Next, from the class of 1961, Jerry Burns, outstanding football and track and field athlete. Jerry?
Good evening to everyone here tonight. I'm Jerry Burns, class of 1961, Shrewsbury High School. I'm honored to have been selected to the Shrewsbury High School Athletic Hall of Fame. I want to thank the committee for this honor and to congratulate the other 9 inductees, along with the athletic director, Jay Costa. I am also very happy to have my 3 sons here to help me celebrate tonight, along with their partners and my 6 grandchildren. I'd like to give a special thanks to Dutch Holland for all his extra help. To everybody here tonight, have a great evening, and thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Next inductee from the class of 1998, Brian O'Connor, standing football, indoor track, and baseball player.
First, thanks to Jay, Costa, everybody in the committee, and the Athletic Hall of Fame for honoring me. I really appreciate it. I will say that this was a bit premature. My mother, I'm pretty confident, still thinks that I could play center field for the Red Sox, and I could probably still kick for the Patriots. So while my career is still potentially going on, I'll just go from here. I spent a lot of time thinking about being inducted into the Hall of Fame. As Thanksgiving was coming up, one theme that continued to come up is just how fortunate I am and how fortunate I was to have grown up in Shrewsbury, going to Shrewsbury High School, and having a family that is so supportive and so competitive, for those of you that do know. A lot of them are in the crowd tonight, and it's a portion of a much bigger group here that has really deep roots in Shrewsbury. You know, I grew up in a family where our days and our weeks and our seasons revolved around sports. When I came into my grandmother's house for Sunday dinner, you would get two questions. One is, did you win? And depending on the season, it was, did you score? How many yards did you have? You know, it pretty much was just right down to the nitty-gritty of it. Like, how did you actually perform? And it was really important for all of us, and we were always so proud of that. For those of you that do know my family and are familiar with Shrewsbury sports, especially in the 90s, we really did do our best to leave a mark. Whether it was basketball or soccer for my cousins, or if it was baseball or football or track, you know, one of us was always there, and it bred an environment of working really hard, being really competitive, and being really, really proud of what you did. And that shaped not only who I was then, but who I am today. As one of the youngest in that generation, I knew exactly what my cousins and what my brothers did. A lot of people chase ghosts. I saw excellence every single day, and I knew exactly what they did. It was really important for me to shoot for that, and if we're being honest, it was really important for me to try and beat that. The expectations and unwavering support are a pretty special thing, and to have brothers that are your biggest fans is all you can ever ask for. My SHS family was just as important. People like Coach Nero, Coach DiPlato, and Coach Mahoney let a pencil-necked geek freshman play for 4 years on their varsity teams, and they pushed me to do my very best. And I had teammates that refused to accept a really long drought when it came to, you know, Shrewsbury football. And we were the first ones to actually get to a Super Bowl since 1972. And I'm so proud every season to see what that organization has become and what the expectation of being a Shrewsbury High School colonial football player actually means now. Whether it was baseball, and we started off 1-9, and we would rally off for the rest of the year and go deep into the playoffs as a sophomore. I had no idea what I was doing, but it was just so fun. And, you know, a skeleton boys track team that not just competed, but we won, and we won a lot. And there were only a few of us that were there, but we were always just so proud. I was so proud to be a part of those teams. I was proud to be captains of those teams. Today, I work in New York City with my wife, and I come home to something like yesterday at a Thanksgiving Day game, and just to see the familiar faces and the smiles of people at Shrewsbury is something that I'm still just so proud of. And then finally, thanks to my parents, they showed me what hard work and passion and drive are all about. There was never a game that they were not at, whether it was a freezing November football game, an early morning Saturday track meet, or going to a doubleheader in the middle of the summer. That meant everything to me. Thank you. Congratulations, everybody. Thanks again.
Our next inductee from the class of 1967, Guy Ferrante, outstanding golf and basketball player.
Wow, what a great turnout tonight. It's really exciting to be a part of it, and it's a great honor to be selected to the Shrewsbury Sports Hall of Fame. First of all, I want to thank the Board of Directors. I want to thank Jay Costa, and also my good friend from the Greendale Ward, Bob Munsner, who was a hell of a baseball pitcher in his day and also a great coach, track coach on that. I attribute this honor to my dad, Paul Ferrante. My dad was my mentor, my teacher. He taught me the fundamentals in basketball, baseball, and golf. And most importantly, the support I got from my family. My dad went to every game, 4 years of basketball. He even went to some of the most of the golf matches, and he took time off to see me play golf on that. So I really attribute this to my dad on that. I want to get back to the old mid-'60s sports in the time of the '60s. Some of the members, some of the inductees can remember this, but Shrewsbury High School, the old high school, the gymnasium was just, I mean, the games were packed. It was exciting to play. There were sold-out games at the high school. And if you can remember, the old high school, the stands were right there. I mean, the players were right in front of you on that. And also the cheerleaders. The cheerleaders were terrific in that. They really got everybody going. But, I mean, back then there was only 3 major sports. There was football, baseball, and basketball. There was no soccer. There was no wrestling. There was no hockey teams back then. There was just those three sports. You had golf, you had tennis, but those were the 3 major sports. And back then, the 2 of them were football and basketball, that drew most of the crowds. I mean, picture back in the wintertime. Where are you going to go in the wintertime? You go to a Shrewsbury High basketball game on all that. So it was just exciting to be a part of it. I remember I used to get the goosebumps out there, and the adrenaline would be flowing with all those fans cheering and all that. One thing I want to mention is I just wish back in the '60s, I wish they had 3-pointers. So I think I would have had a little bit more points than I had on that. And one story I want to tell about Coach Paquette, like Bill mentioned. Bill Paquette was a tough coach, but a fair coach, and on that. And I remember my senior year, our first 3 games we lost. We played 2 city teams that were really, really good. But we lost our first 3 games. And there was a Telegram sports writer who wrote an article about the Shrewsbury Colonials and said, well, it looks like Bill Paquette's Shrewsbury Colonials is going to be in for a lean year. He put that up on the bulletin board, big on the bulletin board. And I'll never forget it. He kind of, when he told us, what do you think of this? And we won 16 in a row after that. We won our conference. We were undefeated in our conference, 14-0. We went on to win 16, went to the District 3s and all that. So that was one of my highlights. And my second highlight was being selected to the Central Mass Conference All-Stars my junior and senior year. And my biggest thrill was scoring 32 points against Auburn. And I remember their gym I wish they'd turn the lights on. It was always dark in their gym on that. But I want to thank the committee. It's a great honor. I want to thank you, and I really appreciate it.
Our next inductee from the class of 2007, Christie Hurley Benoit, outstanding soccer, basketball, and lacrosse player.
Thank you, Mr. Pignataro, and thank you, Mr. Costa. And thank you to the committee for considering me amidst the many talented members of the Shrewsbury High School community. As Mr. Costa mentioned earlier, I was one of the student athletes who would stare up at the plaques of the Hall of Fame members outside the athletic department, hoping one day I would make my way up there against the wall with my idols. And my memories of Shrewsbury High athletics are some of my best. And I owe that to my phenomenal coaches, the phenomenal teammates that I was lucky enough to play beside, including my younger sister, Tori. I owe it to the SPAC crew who made us feel like professional athletes on TV and on Coach's Corner, to the athletic department who supported us both on and off the field, and most importantly to my family, my mom, my grandpa, and my sister, who were at every game, every season, every year. This really means a lot to me. Thank you very much.
Can I ask all the inductees to please stand and be recognized one last time this evening? Congratulations to the class of 2017.